boy, do I have a story for you. What started as a seasonal job just to make some quick cash while I was home for Christmas break turned into a roller coaster of doing homework and picking cereal. Let me explain. Those of you who know me personally know that I have worked at various summer camps over the past few years. Working with kids is something I've grown incredibly passionate about, and every summer has been a whirlwind of learning experience. So I've never branched out from summer camp to do other things with kids or education or anything. That is until this Christmas break. This November was when I received an email blast from my old boss who was looking for old camp staff to return and work the after-school programs. If you've never gone to one of these after-school programs as a child or a parent or whatever, it's basically just if the parent isn't home to get the kid off the bus at the end of the day, the kid will just go and kind of just hang out in the cafeteria for a few hours, do some homework, do some activities, so the parent can pick them up. Naturally, my broke college ass had to take the job. Going into the decision, I was pretty confident. I mean, I had 3 years of summer camp under my belt. I'd worked with kids of all ages. I was pretty confident in my skills with this job. How different could it be from summer camp? Let me tell you, after school is a different animal. Anyways, here's what I learned after 4 weeks of being an after-school assistant. One of my most immediate lessons after one day at this after-school program is how messy and wasteful sometimes are. We frequently had dry Lucky Charms as a snack for the kids if they ever got hungry, and the amount of Lucky Charms that ended up on the floor of every cafeteria was unfathomable. I remember texting my friend Justin after the first day got done and telling him, and I quote, "If I step on another Lucky Charm, I might just lose it." You know that scene from Harry Potter where they're in the bank vault and like everything in there just keeps multiplying and like they get flooded out of the vault? Think that, but with Lucky Charms. No matter how much you sweep the floor, you will always miss a piece. And you want to know what the fucked up part about that is? You're not going to know until it's too late. That being said, however, their messiness, a lot of the time, leads to creativity, which I think is awesome. While, of course, they can be rowdy and rambunctious, these kids are some of the most creative people I've ever met in my life. They have just wild imagination. They have these toys called magnet tiles that I guess are really trendy right now. And they're like, think like building blocks, and you remember those like magnetics toys? Think of like building blocks and magnetics. Had a baby and get magnet tiles. The shit they build out of these things is like Notre Dame Cathedral levels of impressive. You know, before the tragedy and all that. I also learned that the energy that little kids have is unparalleled. I mean, you could literally power the entire tri-state area with like one of these guys and a shot of Red Bull. Either that or I'm just really out of shape. I think I'm just out of shape. You have to understand, 10 minutes of me on the playground playing tag had me totally winded, out of breath. Literally had to sit down for like 20 minutes after that. And then my thighs after sore for 3 days. I feel like Homer Simpson. On the topic of me not being enough, 5th grade math was a genuine struggle for me. I cannot stress that enough. Either that or the way that New York State is teaching kids to do math these days is just horrible. Which is entirely possible. The way they taught me to do math was horrible, and that's why I suck at it. A girl asked me for help on her math homework one day, and I couldn't do it. Like, I really could not figure out how to do this. Like, I knew the answer. It's easy, 1 + 1 is 2, but the problem wasn't me knowing the answer, it was me not knowing the convoluted way that their teacher wanted them to get answer. I think the kid got the answer eventually on their own, but truth be told, I have no fucking clue if they did or not. Now, this next point isn't something that's completely new to me. It's just kind of gotten reinforced over these past 4 weeks. It's the duality of man. The potential for a child to 50-50 instantly swap between total Karen or absolute Chad. Literally like a fucking light switch. Half the time you're working with these kids, they are the funniest people you have ever met. Like literal like stand-up comedian levels of you. I literally have a few quotes written down from kids that just made me chuckle, and I'd like to share a few with you today. No, you You do not get context for these. You just have to take them for what they are. I love squishy apples. I hate Cocoa Melon! Hate that, Chicago! We can't kick our friends in the nuts. That last one is from my good friend Abby when she was working the same job as me. Shout out Abby. While these moments are hilarious and quite frankly make me question reality just a smidge, the other side of the coin is not as fun. I'm not joking when I say some of these kids have god complexes that could rival the strongest Karens out there. Like, haircut and everything. I remember one day, we were getting ready to leave the cafeteria to go to the gym, and there was a cheese stick wrapper around and 2 scraps of paper. I asked a child, "Hey, name of child, can you please pick up that trash that you left on the ground?" And I'm telling you, it took him 3 minutes to pick up that little bit of trash. 3 minutes. Look, if there was still cheese or some gross food, something or other, on the wrapper, hey, I'd get it. I don't want the cheese touch either. That's nasty. No one wants the cheese touch. But it was just the wrapper and 2 scraps of paper. I got hella attitude. So much. Unnecessary. Why? I spent a lot of time at this after school program comparing and contrasting to summer camp and how each thing felt really different. And one thing that felt very different in school setting as opposed to camp were masks. At my summer camp that I usually work at, we have to take a bus to get there. And since the kids are kind of tightly packed on the bus, they don't have a lot of room to socially distance, everyone's required to wear a mask. That was a big point of contention between camper and counselor over the summer. In the least Karen-like fashion, however, I found I didn't really have that problem working in after-school programs. My best guess is that masks are much more normalized in schools, and since they're coming straight from their classroom to the after-school program, they're not really taking off their mask anyways. But circling back for just a second, if picking up a single cheese stick wrapper takes 3 minutes and a whole stocking full of coals worth of attitude, you'd think wearing a mask would have been a bigger deal with these kids, but they're totally fine with it. Finally, I wanted to talk about the internet. Very vague, I know, but let me elaborate real quick. That's right, the metaverse is coming to your elementary school tomorrow. Every child I met through this job has been given a tablet or a Chromebook or some sort of device through their school. This is a result of the pandemic and the shift to remote learning, and a lot of it has just kind of stuck around since the pandemic began and continued. It's going, it doesn't stop. What are we doing? You know how long it's been since I've been outside? I know. Obviously, these devices are given out for academic purposes, but that doesn't stop them from becoming ultra Chad gamers or devouring hours of YouTube a day. Look, I'm not here to discuss whether this is a good change or a bad change. I think it comes with a lot of pros and a lot of cons. At the end of the day, I think it's just very different to me. I'm just saying I certainly did not have this much internet access when I was young. Obviously, it was a different time. I was growing up in the early 2000s. The internet wasn't as... But even then, like, we still had a home computer. We still had computer games. Even then, though, I was still restricted on how long I was able to use those each day and what I was allowed to use them for. My first device I bought for myself that could access the internet was a laptop in 8th grade. I was 14. And even then, I still had parental restrictions on it. I'm not shitting you when I tell you some of these kids are just as familiar with meme culture as I am. I've had kids running around talking about Big Chungus and Squid Game. I even had one kid run around in circles singing the helicopter song. You guys remember when that was a fucking like trendy thing like a month ago or some shit? I don't know, I don't have much to say on it, just besides that it's so insane because that's not something I grew up with. Wow, that exposure. It's incredibly noticeable. But yeah, that is my experience working with an after-school program for the first time. Would I do it again? Maybe. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I've certainly had worse times at different jobs. I think it's a good thing for if I'm transitioning between 2 jobs or if I'm transitioning between school and finding a job. It's a good thing to hold me over for a little bit, get some cash. The hours were relatively flexible. I got to know my coworkers pretty well. I got along with all of them. So it was a good time. Maybe by the time I'm recording this video, I have an internship. Maybe by the time it's posted, I have an internship. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know how the fuck to end this video.